I hope you're all doing well. Me, not so much, as always. I'd appreciate some prayer. It is an extremely difficult situation I find myself in, and I'm sure so does the pseudo spouse and my oldest son. But man, it's just nothing but lies every day I'm catching them in. And I am still watching for this unholy alliance to be announced today. Trump is having talks with Russia, and there's a couple of important things to go over. And a couple of things that are related, and I didn't realize they were related. So I'm going to start this with a short story time and then pull up a link. It's actually not going to take very long. I'm having more difficulties with YouTube than I am with anything else. I'll turn the comments on. Thank you for being here. I'm going to pull up my phone and make sure this is working because, once again, I'm without a laptop. I just got that laptop when I started a job and I'm making payments on it. And funny enough, I was sitting in the pseudo spouse's room yesterday having a smoke, and he kept getting this email sound go through, but his phone wasn't lighting up. And I'm like, "Do you got a laptop in here? Do you got something?" No. Oh, okay. Mind you, again, I catch him and my son-in-law's every day. For example, the garage door light come on the other day, and they weren't supposed to be near the house, but that only comes on if that remote is near the house. And I was letting the dogs in, and I saw the car go by, and still, no, that's not what I saw. So now the other day when I did that short, I was going to get my inhaler. Now this is the second month in a row that I quote unquote lose the inhaler the day I got it. I'm not that careless anymore. I'm a little absent-minded. I'll set down my glasses, forget where I set them down, but I don't go anywhere. And I've had to watch my food and drinks and try and keep track of my dog for a long time now. Of course, he was home yesterday and the day before, and I let him give my dog a little bit of meat, and he starts throwing up something that looks like tape. I don't know. But that only happens too when I show a little gumption. Why am I telling you about my personal things? Because whatever happens to me seems to be some signal for the rest of the friggin' public. So I was sitting in his room and I heard that sound, and then he switched everything around. I'm like, "Oh, why'd you do this?" "Oh, more room." And his amps and guitars are now sharing the wall where I plug things in, and he plugged in a distortion amp. Is that what it was? But it's real heavy. I never saw an amp this heavy, and it had like a bunch of really big magnets on the inside. And I have no doubt that I know magnets erase computers and they erase memories and hard drives. So I have almost no doubt that that's what happened there. And again, I'm telling you this for a reason. I'm going to tell you real quickly about something that happened, and I can link the video because, again, it all relates. So when January 19th, or no, January 11th, 2019, when the intentional abuse occurred, and I believe it was to get a chip in my ear, and I have reason to believe that, and I've went over all of this. When that happened, as a coping mechanism, so that I would not blame this person that I loved, and it was already traumatizing me to be hurt that badly. It was like a bomb went off. I couldn't hear for days, and the video's on here from right after it happened, because I had to lay it out and prove that it was intentional, because police, they don't work. There's no detective work. Anyways, as a coping mechanism, I named the door so that I would not take it out on any person, because again, I'm still growing in my walk with the Lord. I'm like anyone else, I have flaws, and one of them is being upset and really wanting justice for these people that have hurt my children and I. And so I gave the door a name, and I called it Charlie. Now, I didn't know, but I was watching Quantum Leap yesterday, and it come to find out, well, I'm going to show you what Charlie means. Hold, please, because I'm on an old phone. This is like 4G, but it's the only way. Now, I was crying about my laptop, but it's not just the laptop. It's the fact that every device that I bring in, even though I pay for it myself, no matter how close I keep it to me, ends up being thrown in a sink full of water or ends up being deleted and put back to the programming settings. Ends up my apps like Facebook and Messenger were cloned, or there was a dual SIM, so everything I did they could see. That's how they gaslight you and make you think it's supernatural, is by tracking you online. And I'm not saying there aren't things like that that occur, but I'm saying it's important to go with logic and sensibilities, the things you can touch, see, and hear first. So I didn't know this, and I'm not in the military, but I told you, people around me are in the military. Almost everyone around me. That's why I started to think maybe I'm some type of asset, because I say these things and I don't even know what they mean. And then I'm going to show you what I named my dog and why that matters regarding Israel. And I know you're going to be like, what are you talking about? Just watch. Again, it's like this oracle thing that I don't even try to do. So I named this door that he bashed me in the head with, that I got this concussion with, and my left ear torn off, almost off. I named it Charlie. So in military context, Charlie refers to the letter C in NATO phonetic alphabet. It's also an American military slang for the Viet Cong during the Vietnam War. They would say to people, hey, watch out for Charlie. Don't let Charlie get you, because Charlie was the enemy. I didn't know this, okay? Why does that matter? Well, hang on to that for a second. And if you've been here and you watched my Game of Thrones breakdown, this is wild how this all comes full circle. So we're going to look at that, but not yet. Hold, please, while I bring this up. What is the Samson option? This is why nobody will attack the modern political state of Israel. And no, it was not always called Israel. It just wasn't. But again, they're going to say what used to be called Palestine. Yeah, but I think there was an Israel. Now they're saying it's a Zionist thing that everybody made up. Israel is America. That's why America is not in the Bible, and they can only change and tweak. I don't know that they can change God's word per se, but they can change how it's taught. So anyway, what is Samson? What is the Samson option? Now, Samson is the name I gave my dog. He came to me in 2020 as a form of obviously therapy or whatever. So the Samson option in Hebrew is Israel's deterrent strategy of massive retaliation with nuclear weapons as a last resort against a country whose military has invaded and or destroyed much of Israel. Commentators also have employed the term to refer to situations where non-nuclear, non-Israeli actors have threatened conventional weapons retaliation. The name is a reference to the biblical Israelite judge Samson, who pushed apart the pillars of a Philistine temple, bringing down the roof and killing himself and thousands of Philistines who had captured him. Everyone complained about how Game of Thrones ended. This is how Cersei and her twin were killed, and a bunch of the people that were with them, was the roof caved in on them. Again, people in the industry are not all wicked. They're trying to tell you things. That's why they want to defame everyone in the industry, so you don't give any of it any credence at all. Make sense? I hope it does. Now, if you want, we could go through all this. I'm just real quickly going to bring that up for you. Oh. Let my soul die with the Philistines. So it was you see, what self-deletion, you know what? Okay. Okay, now this gives you the political background of all of it. They named it after the biblical figure who pushed apart the pillars of a Philistine temple, bringing down the roof and killing himself and thousands of Philistines. So if they feel threatened, this is what they're going to do. It's a part of their nuclear handbook. Everyone knows this about them. Why do you think people are sticking up for pretty much a giant nation that's picking on a really small, like, have you seen Gaza and compared to the rest of that land? It's very minuscule. And when all of this began, they started how do I say this? An injectable campaign. And I talked about this. Any other Christian or Christ following person, or even independent thinker who's not telling you that they did that over there, and I showed you the proofs for it, I brought the receipts. So 2 different instances when I did not know what I was doing or talking about were both military terms, and they both have to do with today. So when I say that America is Israel, I'm entirely serious. Physically we are, and theoretically we are. And the people that they show you, I don't understand why Christians go along with this, because we're told in Revelation, they tell you, oh, Revelation's just a handbook. Well, if it was just a handbook, it gives you a really big clue in the end of Revelation. It tells you they are the Jews who are not Jews, who never were Jews, but have snuck in, and it's the synagogue of Satan. The Bible calls it that. That's what the Bible calls it. So all these people saying they're Christians, again, you're not reading the book, and you're following the whatever trends because you want to be part of the cool kid club, and you're never going to be part of that club. I want to show you something else that I found, and I told you this was happening, and now I found proof of it. This is why you're seeing those areas, and isn't it ironic again that Damascus already has been destroyed? Damascus, United States. Damascus, West Virginia. And didn't I say I was being called to go to West Virginia? And then the next day, the neighbors that moved in hung a West Virginia flag. Ha ha, very funny. This is why I try to speak my testimony, because I feel like if you are warned and you know what's coming, you can at least be prepared. But I don't always know what I'm saying either. It's direct from prayer and asking God for answers, and they don't always come out at the time or in the way that I ask for them. And I'm not a diviner. I don't use a crystal ball. I don't do any of those things. I pray and I talk to God, and I test that it is God that I'm hearing. No, I don't test God. I test the spirit. So I know, okay, is this God? Because sometimes humans think that they know God. And that's the whole problem you have throughout the Old Testament, is you can't tell whether it's God or real God, because Adam and Eve are under Satan. They've defaulted to him. They've made him their God. And this is why they're running around doing whatever they want. As soon as you realize you're sovereign and you have free will and you say, I do not consent, they might be mad at you. You might have a few outer problems in your life for a while, but they can't come and do anything to you then. This is our land. Everywhere you walk is your territory for that moment. So when you are sovereign, it counts you and the land that you're walking upon. That's how you tread upon the serpents. Walk in victory. I'm not trying to preach. I apologize if that's not what you came here. I'm not going to apologize, but if that's not what you came here for, let's move along. So this is what happened. I told you, I even brought you up a YouTube page of these people saying, oh, we got through it great and we were protected and we were fine on this lake because our mayor knew to let the dam go before the rains came. Yeah, and that's why everyone below you flooded. It would have been fine. Dams are supposed to work the way they're supposed to work for a reason. This is not an environment. They're slapping this sticker of this is for environmental purposes on it, so you don't question. It's all virtue signaling. You can't say that it's racist. You can't say that it's anti-Semitic. You can't say that it's hate speech. You can't say you can't. We are sovereign. Your mouth is your own unless you give it to God as a mouthpiece. Declare your free will and then ask God to make sure you're under his will and walking in his will, so you and yours are protected. In 2023 and 2024, the largest dam removal project in history, focusing on the Klamath River That's California, saw the removal of 4 dams, reconnecting over 400 miles of river. They are terraforming, they are resurfacing, they are redistricting, they are reorganizing everything. And if we keep allowing or not doing anything, it's just going to keep happening. But the problem is now then you're going to be, well, you can't drive. Well, you can only drive if it's essential. Well, you have to stay in this area. Is that how you want to live? You have to decide now before these questions come into your own, basic life. I'm sorry, I'm really upset about my laptop. And I know, again, this has been my whole relationship with this man. Anything that takes my time, anything that I do, drawings, paintings, why don't you draw anymore? Everything that I do, he has ruined. Everything in the last several years, especially. And it's not paranoia when somebody actually is messing with your life and monitoring you and censoring like the news that you get. This is not normal. I do not consent to be profited off of. I told God I would do this if he brought my testimony to as many people that he wanted to hear and see it. But these other things that man is doing, it doesn't mean I'm supposed to just be okay with it. We are supposed to condemn sin. We are supposed to offer verbal, audible correction to people at times, but not condemning as in you're going to go to Hades, because I personally, I don't say that. But, hey, this is wrong. You shouldn't do this to your fellow man. I thought when I was doing things wrong that I was being self-destructive. But you can see it affects your family. And then by the way your family is, that affects your community and society. And before you know it, like we have now, there's a bunch of broken homes. Women don't know how to be, mothers and just women, because there's a lot on our shoulders to be both. While the men do what? Smoke and I'm not a feminist. I know there are good men out there, but right now, look at what we're seeing with the Tates and Jordan Peterson. If he has his way, we'll go back to the Old Testament. I mean, these people don't know Christ. Going back there is satanic. You're throwing Christ's sacrifice in his face. So the Klamath River, that was just one. Hold please. Removers, the Cuyahoga River in 2020. I live near there. Mahoning River, that was in Ohio. East Fork, Little Miami River, Pilchuck River. Now, if you see, they've been writing about it for a couple of years now, because they have been doing all this. It's all been by design. Benefits, see, and it's on and on it goes. Helping restore Northeast rivers. No, not necessarily. This is why the flooding is so bad in the Appalachians. And Musk's putting in, he had a place in California, and now they're putting a place in for the data mining and all that in Texas. And now they say he put in shoddy fans for one that's in friggin' Memphis. They're not doing this in their own countries because they don't want to ruin their own countries. And there's a reason they waited on the United States until last. Where is Israel? Where is Israel? Why aren't we allowed in the Grand Canyon? What are they doing there? What do they film in there with the Ashkenazis? And no, I'm not like hateful either. I don't hate any one group, but there are groups pretending to be people that they're not, just so that you give them money. Like, have you seen the donation drives? I told you all the charities that they have. Those people don't work. We are the Goyim. They do not work. And if they do work, it's because it's something, a passion that they have. All of the charities. And I've been doing this for a while now. I know when God leads me to something that I don't speak it unless I know it at this point. Check this out. And then now they're rubbing it in their face because somebody somewhere knows that I'm talking about all this, because everything that we talk about on this channel and the first one, Brie and Jen, is all over TikTok, all over. Yeah, it burns me that people are monetizing it, because I can't even get out of this heinous situation that I'm in. I got to watch my food. I got to watch my drinks. I'm burying dogs like there's no tomorrow. And people are monetizing God when they're not even Christ follower. Like, I can't wrap my mind around how everybody's falling for this stuff. I just don't get it. New Jersey City declared city of capital Palestine by mayor in a fiery speech. If only people knew. Serious, he is. So again, they're mocking us and our ignorance and the lack of knowledge that we have. Now, where is all of this leading, you ask? Because I told you on the Brie and Jen Twitch channel, when the lockdown started, I said, watch our infrastructure start to go. I said in 2008, that's what the stimulus was supposed to be for then, was our bridges and our waterways, and none of it was used. Why? Because they planned this, because Obama gave in and said, it's America's turn now. It's their turn, their turn, he said, to buckle down. And they made some big joke about it, and I've looked everywhere for that clip of that speech, and I've even watched the whole speeches that he gave, and I can't find it, of course. But he did say it, and you don't have to leave me. But where is this all leading, you might ask? I punched in a very specific question. I said something like, I don't know anything about politics. Are communism and Nazism anything, are they similar? Okay. And I found this awesome answer. You can see the user's name so they get credit. But I want you to see this. This is what's happening. I told you to watch the infrastructure. I told you they were going to start to block in certain areas. I told you your internet was probably turned around on itself, meaning none of us are actually getting out of the country and seeing what's going on out of the country. And has it not occurred to you, why are so many Brits involved in our politics? Why are there so many foreign people on YouTube that care so much? It's to be instigators. That's like the main purpose. They want to drive us to the streets and to, well, you'll see. Because I don't know how long I'm going to be able to put up with this. This is a very frustrating situation. Now I've got basically a piece of junk that was $400 that I got just to be able to do this better. Just for God, pretty much. And now I'm about to turn into a Luddite, because then it won't be an issue at all for me. And I'm tired of the frustration that everyday connections cause me. Like, I just want to go and be a vagabond. I don't have any of my own land, so I'd probably have to be a forager, but I know the basics, and I really know how to fish, like, well. So I'm really not worried about that aspect. For me, it's a safety thing. So, frightening parallels between Nazism and communism. This is what's coming, because we've been infiltrated already by a Trojan horse, by our enemies. And everyone now knows it. Have you not seen? Okay, so when Biden was still in office, who did we have come and do a press conference? Luke Skywalker, right? I forget his real name all the time. And then who yesterday for St. Patty's Day? The friggin', oh God, the MMA fighter. Does it not seem like our White House has literally turned into a tourist attraction with the president, and actual, like, they're making, like, it's for sale, make no mistake. Like, they're showing you it's all for sale. Was it a photo op? How much did he pay for that photo op? And I'm being perfectly serious. And I'm going to go back to, I got to go back to the Sharpies. I told you when these people started coming around, 2018, 2019, my husband's best friend was talking about Stormy and how he got stuck in a cab with this person named Stormy who said she knew all these people. I told you how this area, there seems to be a corn problem, because even the police Wi-Fi router, when I went there to report something, how it said, sex toys are us. I mean, we're all, like, this is, if it's like this in small town Ohio, pay attention where you're at, because this is late in the game. We've had people being kidnapped from Detroit for years now. And again, this is all available. Well, it used to be available. I don't know if it's still out there now. But I've talked about all this, and I'm trying to tie all these things together for you so you can see it's all in the same wheelhouse. The purpose is all the same. This is all leading to this. But yeah, the Sharpie guy, how he used to steal all my black Sharpies, and now the president is signing everything in Sharpies. What did I tell you? These ones do. Because they're the lawless ones. And I did a video on, and it's on this channel, I think, about the lawless ones and how God made the law to protect us from the sinners, and how he actually separates that, and how it looks like it's a different bloodline, right? And how he protects us in certain ways by doing that. They're lawless. Whatever they are doing themselves, they accuse others of doing. He's right now saying none of Biden's pardons counted. Tell me the last time in any type of documentation that a Sharpie counted. And I have one on my marriage certificate, and now he went and got a sealed copy, and it doesn't look like the one that I have carried in my purse since we got married. So, yeah, why don't you also tell me that? Aren't you wondering why, like, court and things like that are very slow moving right now? And why they're making a joke of certain things? Again, they're bread and circus, man. You got to read about the French Revolution. Maybe we'll do that next. Okay, frightening parallels between Nazism and communism. This is where we're at, because our enemies are both. We've got the Aryan leftovers. That's what NASA is. When they brought in all of them scientists from Project Paperclip. Okay, we've gone over all that too. How they pardoned all of the alleged Nazi scientists. Some of, like, the worst ones, Mengele. Who knows how bad Hitler actually was? He's dead. You can never, the dead can't defend themselves. It's very easy to pin stuff on people who have no voice. And that is the unborn, the deceased, and people like me, little peon people. And still, I use the little voice I have to help you, even though I deal with persecution in my home on a daily basis. I don't lose this many inhalers. Somebody literally wants me dead. It's ridiculous, and I'm so sick of it. Anyways, so our enemies, we've got the red dragon, which is China, and we've got Russia, which is the bear. I actually always had an affinity towards Putin. If I had to pick a leader, I really I liked him. He's a strong leader. It's what most people want. Anyways, this is what we have to worry about. It's already happened. America's already been bought and sold. That's what they're showing you on television, and it is going to start to affect all of us really, really quickly, like a domino effect here. So you can say that it's, it doesn't include me, but really it does. This person really lays it out. It says, I don't think the socialist communists here, and yes, socialism is communism rebranded. It's the same thing, kids. You got to realize all the minority groups, they're being used. They were love bombed, just like an abusive relationship. All society doesn't want you. All society doesn't like you. All society calls you a sinner. All society says you need mental help. Well, here, I'll take all of you. You can all be my children. And what they do with a lot of these children, and again, I told you I work with some of them, is they raise them. They don't have any empathy. They can't put themselves. Empathy means to put yourself in somebody else's shoes. They don't do that. They don't care. They've been raised that you are less than them. You are cockroaches to them. Me, you, and every other goyim. If you have brown hair, brown eyes, guess what? You lose. And everything is the opposite. The Moorish people who run everything, they are people of color. The people of color, they're not the slaves, they're royalty. They're Egyptians. They're the pharaohs and the priestesses and the princes from Egypt. Everything they've told you is backwards, and it's all been to make us feel, who are real children of God, the 12 tribes of all over, we are the ones who are made to feel less than, and always made to feel like we need to apologize, and always made to feel like you've done something wrong. Only one side of this capitalism versus socialism debate is openly classist. Nazis were openly racist. Now, again, he's trying to show you the common ground here between Nazis and communism. And he's trying to shine a light on the socialism of today. Openly classist, Nazis were openly racist, calling for the forceful seizure of an entire group's property, like the Nazis did with the Jewish people, claiming this group of people controls everything, like the Nazis did. And this is when they switched. This is when everyone switched places too, when they put the synagogue of Satan to take the place of God's children, labeling an entire group as parasitic leeches, like the Nazis did. This is why I try not to like make blanket statements, because I've been an NPC. I've been a heathen, a dirty sinner. And I mean, I still sin, obviously, but I'm trying to work with God and be a better person. Often calling for violence or even the blatant execution of these people with statements like blank the rich and bring back the you know what. I was watching somebody yesterday who had guillotine earrings on. You can get them on Etsy. She is a liberal who likes to virtue signal and that she's into permaculture, but she was wearing these earrings and saying how no one cares because now all these old diseases are being passed around and nobody's masking. So again, they're going to virtue signal until you feel so guilty and so kowtowed that you'll do whatever they say because you feel like you're a decrepit being. Does that make sense? Typical reverse psychology here. You do this, you do that, you do this, you do that, and here it's what they do. I live with it every day. I've lived with it my whole life. I know what it is. My mother and my husband are like this. Everything is my fault. If they forgot something, it was my fault. Everything. Doesn't matter. Even things our children did. And again, we are all less than, or not all of us, those of us of the 12 tribes. I am a pacifist. I do not promote violence. I do believe in peaceful resistance, in personal sovereignty and free will and liberty as far as that goes. But I do believe in having a basic courtesy for your neighbors and your fellow man by showing some more, acting morally, at least out in public, like not walking around naked in front of children and that type of thing. But I am not a proponent of violence here. If that's what you're looking for, you should go elsewhere. I believe in turning our back on the system and having a mass protest of the whole thing and having an exodus. Yes, you would be a target. We all would be. But this is where the rubber meets the road. I'd rather die for something than live for nothing. But that's me. Worships a singular personality, Hitler for Nazis and Marx for commies. Significantly similar propaganda, even using shared aesthetic and messaging. Here's some examples. So if you hit that link, it'll take you to some shared symbols and symbologies and things like that they share, using an entire group of people as a scapegoat for every single societal ailment, like the Nazis did. Like the fist, that's way back from like the Teamsters and stuff. That's not a good logo, but they use it for everything now. Communist rhetoric and propaganda alone is almost identical to Nazi propaganda if you simply swap the U word with a capitalist. The message is literally identical, which is true. Them bad, us good. It's always them versus us. Are these quotes from Hitler or are they pro-communist? The ultimate goal must be the removal of capitalists altogether. Capitalist. Now he's saying you could take the word capitalist and trade it with like you or socialist or communist. He's trying to show you the similarity, right? Hitler calls the you a true bloodsucker that attaches itself to the body of the unhappy people. Satan is referred to as a parasite in the Gospel of Peace. Lenin claims that I don't know what that is, are leeches who have sucked the blood of the working people. Hitler uses the image of a spider sucking the blood out of people's pores. Lenin says that the spiders have grown fat at the expense of peasants. Nazism and communism possessed an identical structure. On the one hand lay a symbolic object conceived as the essence of goodness, one's nation, or the people. On the other lay a symbolic object conceived as the essence of evil or destructiveness. The mission of each was to save or rescue the people by acting to destroy the element within the nation, working to destroy the people that sought to deprive them of strength, health, and goodness. Horseshoe theory is real, and the socialists here are too propagandized to even see it. That's where we're at, friends. So it's time to decide what it is you're going to do in these next coming days, because I don't imagine that things will get any easier for most of us. And this false golden age of false prosperity, we all know what pride and idolatry lead to. When you don't have a foundation of stone, you are blown over by every breeze and every wind that comes along, and we have a storm coming. And our house of cards is going to fall because it's been built on a foundation of lies and sand. If you could pray for me, I am extremely frustrated at this point. I have no desire to harm myself nor anybody else. The worst I do when I'm upset is I raise my voice or I cry, and I keep hitting these roadblocks, and it's all because of the person that I live with, but God told me to stand and not to move. And I imagine the longer I do this, the worse that it will get for me. And all I'm doing is not moving. Sometimes not moving is the most difficult thing. Simply standing in the gap for the people that you love, or the neighbors that you love, or the place that you chose to call home and raise your children like I did. Sometimes standing in that gap for people who have done nothing but disrespect you is the most difficult thing that you will ever do. I'm going to end this video now. If you'd like to help, I do have a PayPal link. At this right moment in time, I can't even get on there to get my information for the registration, for the warranty and all that stuff, because everything's inside of it. Anyways, and I just bought that VPN, and I just bought my own email for $5 a month, just so I could maybe have things that aren't cloned and I can actually understand what's happening in the world and have a fuller picture. I love you guys. I pray for you all the time. We'll talk soon. Bye.